Hey. Thanks for being in the REC experience. I'm your host, Takhar, with your girl, Laura Elto Stewart.
Hey, Jazzy, what's up?
Well, I'm kind of happy. I had one of my paisans on today.
You did have one of your paisans today.
Mr. Jaspreet Singh from Detroit, Michigan. And if you haven't seen him yet on Minority Mindset on YouTube and Instagram, go check him out.
Definitely.
Actually, before we even get into that, if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, and if you're listening and haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, go do that. Search REC Experience. And if you're watching on YouTube and you're not following us on our podcast, yes, this is a little bit of a shameless plug. Make sure you do that on any podcast platform. Just search REC Experience. You'll find us. And make sure to follow us. You like that?
I liked that. Yeah, right? A little switcheroo.
Yeah, well, kind of inspired by the guy behind the camera there, Machado. I know you guys know him as Clem, but I just found out his middle name is Machado, and now I think I'm going to call him Manuel Machado. I think that's going to be kind of the go-to name for our boy.
We like to
we're
change our names around
We changed Simeon to Simos now.
Yeah,
That's just...
Laura is a far cry from Laura.
Right. Toe. Yeah, we figure
Stuart,
it out here.
Whatever.
You know, everyone has their kind of AKs around here.
Yeah.
And so I love that. But going back into this episode.
Yes.
I loved it because I hope as people listen and watch, they really get a sense of the importance of getting educated about money.
Well, it's so interesting, sort of, when we go back to his story, and he kind of has, I'm going to call it a quintessential story. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
A lot of people you grew up with
like
in your
immigrant
community.
kind of.
Yeah, it was go to school, become a lawyer, become a doctor, be an engineer. Those are the types of jobs.
Well,
and that would be how we define success.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but
family.
in our language, like in our culture, we say doctor, lawyer, or engineer. It's almost like in that order.
In that order.
But go on.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he was going down that path himself. And then just kind of realized, like, this isn't what I want to be doing. Not dogging it for people who that is what they want to be doing, but really just about following your dreams and your passion. And regardless, he says, no matter what you're doing in your life, you need financial literacy. It's not taught in schools. And so he's trying to close that gap.
And to add to that, I love the fact that he said, even if you are a doctor, lawyer, engineer.
Yeah.
And we see it all the time with our clients. We have a lot of doctors and lawyers and engineers, accountants.
Well, here's the thing. We think that they must be sitting on tons of cash. What do you mean you can't invest? What do you mean you can't?
And if they are sitting on tons of cash, that might be the problem in itself. They're sitting on tons of cash.
Good point.
And not thinking about growing it and investing it. So doesn't matter where you are in your stage of life, you need financial literacy.
Yeah.
Right?
Or certainly the ability to understand that money that you have, that you made, that you worked so hard for, you can use that to earn more money passively.
As I've been listening to and looking at our numbers on who's listening, more importantly, I'm seeing that it's right across North America now, right? And right across the world. But the reason I bring up North America, because Jaspreet talked about there's a lot of Americans that he comes across, because that's kind of his target market, in geographically speaking. Unfortunately, they don't even know how to open up a bank account, right? Like,
it's what we always laugh all the time, because I'm always like, oh God, this is adulting. I hate adulting, like those mundane things that you always saw your parents doing, and they get all the mail, and they have to pay their bills. Right. I can't stand doing that stuff.
It's so funny. You said parents. I think back to my father, and I'm going to say probably. So we were at in the Rexdale house. I was probably about 11 years old, and that's when he got me to start writing the checks out. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's at that time it was kind of like I hated doing it.
Really, I loved it.
Well, I do
signing away someone else's money here. Give me
but it gets mundane after writing to the bell and then you hydro and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But now looking back, and I kind of came to that realization maybe 15 years ago, and I was like, you know what? I'm so glad that my dad did that.
Yeah.
Why? Because I understood. Because at that time, I remember asking questions. Yeah. Because you want to make it fun. And I was like, so I don't get it. Like, we write this, but how do they actually take the money? Like, how do they get the money? Because this is not money, is it, Dad? It was like it's kind of looked at as money. And he started teaching me at a very young age. And it's just unfortunate that a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah, they don't get that.
We talk about when you're investing into real estate as a parent, especially if you have somebody who's like 12, 14 kid at that age, you can start teaching them.
Yeah, that's they think that stuff's cool. Like, bring them, if you're a landlord, bring them to the property, show them what's involved, help you find tenants. Kids are great workers that way.
So you're talking about manual labor. That's a different
Maybe
podcast.
I should call them helpers.
Yes. Jaspreet gave some amazing tips.
Yes.
Okay. And he kind of ended it off with his 3 top tips. I know one or two, like all 3 kind of stuck with you. But
Yeah.
what was the one that you really like? It drove home the point for you.
So my favorite, and I think, you know, to add on to the point of you speaking about your dad and what he sort of taught you, my dad, when I was younger, was adamant, you know, a banker. So
Yeah.
he was pretty conservative with money. But what he always said was just do not spend more than you make. And do not get credit card debt. So you pay off that credit card because he's like, those shoes that you think are so great, you're going to buy them twice if you have credit card debt.
Right.
So I've never, like, my whole thing was like, you pay your credit card, pay your credit card, pay your credit card. And then
like,
save.
And you mean like what do you do now? Like when you get your credit card statement?
Yes.
Because you can pay if you have like $1,000 balance
I
on
pay
the
all
statement.
of it.
Okay.
The whole thing.
Because the minimum payment on that on $1,000, I think,
I've never made
$100.
minimum.
So that's
It's not
awesome.
part of my financial literacy.
Good.
Right? Yeah, I'll pay for it. I pay for it once, and if I had a 1 month where it was getting close, then obviously, you know, maybe it's time to rein it in and not spend that much money next month. And so the tip that he gave, which is what my dad also always said, was a portion of your of every paycheck you should put into savings. What he said though, it was the 75, 15, 10 rule.
Break that down.
75 cents of every dollar you earn, you get to spend on your living expenses, food, rent, clothes, all of that stuff. Then 15 cents of that dollar, you're actually going to put away for investing. So as you save that up and then you buy an investment property, let's say, or stocks or something like that. And then the 10 cents that's left over, you put in a different savings account for a rainy day.
Right. And it's pay yourself kind of.
Yeah,
Right?
it's so simple. 75, 15, 10. And so, here's a great thing. Your bank accounts and your work, you can get them to do all that stuff for you. So you don't even see the money when it comes in. It's already gone, out of sight, out of mind.
Our podcast that we did, which was your story about your first investment property, we spoke about at least bare minimum.
Yeah.
Pay yourself at least 10%.
Yeah.
I like where Jaspreet and how you spoke about it now is taking it to the next level, and let's get a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
25 cents.
Well, you're gonna get to that financial freedom a little faster. So if that's the goal and that's what you have in mind, you can forego some of the luxuries and novelty items that you think you need.
Guys, if you're watching or listening to this, we're 2 days away from our huge, big, like most fun event, Spirit of the Season. Also, please talk a little bit about it because you coordinate everything. You put it all together for us.
Yeah, this is our 4th annual Spirit of the Season event. Like you said, it's this Friday, November 29th, 6:30 p.m. It's going to be at the CC Lounge, which is like a 1920s prohibition whiskey bar downtown. We have lots of fun. All of our friends and family and clients, but they're clients who are now friends, they come and join us, and we shoot the breeze and eat food and have some.
It's free to come, but you got to do something.
You got to bring a toy, an unwrapped new toy for sick kids.
Or as Simos, our partner, would say, bring a garbage bag full of toys. Whatever you can do,
Yes.
It is for the kids. It's in partnership with Sick Kids. But as Laura mentioned, it is our 4th one. And the past 3 ones, we got so many toys, and I'm not exaggerating, like
Truck.
1,000, literally, like 1,000 toys. And so Sick Kids can't take them all because a lot of people give to Sick Kids. And so there is women's shelters. There's so many other organizations that are in need of these toys, and so many kids. And believe, like, it's our most like fun time, and like it just feels good.
Joyous event.
Right, because we get to drop off kids we drop off kids. No, we drop off toys to kids. We've had a long day.
One too many whiskey.
Yeah. It does happen that day. We actually taste whiskey. There's a huge tunnel, I think 422 different whiskeys or something. I might be off by a little
you get to go into the tunnel and
taste it.
tasting,
And that's all on REC. And so whatever platform you're watching or listening, just get a hold of us. I mean, really, you can just email us at info@reccanada.com. You'll have 2 C's in the middle there. And just say, I want to come to this event that Jas and Laura were talking about that REC puts on. And we'll make sure that Tyler, our air traffic control person, Tyler Walburn, will get back to you and get you tickets and get you registered for the event. As always, Toe, thank you for everything you do.
You bet.
Okay, I will say that without you, the event wouldn't have been possible. So thank you for that.
I got to pipe in here before you sign off.
What's up?
So in today's episode, you got to speak your native language.
Punjabi.
And I sit here day in and day out, listen to you on the phone, speaking to family, friends,
fellow Sikh Punjabi people.
Yes.
And so I feel like I'm starting to understand a little bit of it.
Sure.
So can I guess what you asked him?
Okay, good.
Did you? I don't know if you summarized, because I did have to leave because my phone died and I couldn't record anymore. So did you summarize it for the listeners already?
No, I didn't.
So did you ask him what he would say to his parents now?
Very close. So good job. Good job. As the rest of the team sees me walking back and forth to the 3-4 offices that we have back here, I'm always generally speaking English, but I do get on calls and speak.
And this was at the end of the very end of the episode.
Yeah. I did not ask him that. I asked him his, but it's very close. I asked him his advice to parents that have kids. Two parents.
Not his parents.
Not his parents. Two parents that have kids that now want to get into entrepreneurship.
Gotcha.
Because not all kids are meant to be doctors, lawyers, engineers, like things that you need degrees for, diplomas for. And so what would his advice be?
Okay. Well, I'm learning.
Yeah. Funny thing with Jaspreet, he actually answered it half in English and Punjabi, the exact same way that I do it as well. In fact, the question I tried as much as I possibly can, because I was thinking about an uncle of mine who watches and listens, and so I still have to break it up and kind of speak.
I know. That's actually, I heard a few English words.
Yeah, for sure.
With your accent.
And he did
I was like, I got it. I know what he's asking. So I kind of cheated.
As always, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. Leave your comments below. 5-star rating is what we're always looking for. But if you don't think it's worth a 5-star rating, let us know as well. We love the feedback. It means the world to us. Thanks, guys.
Enjoy the show.
REC Experience presents Real Estate, Entrepreneurship, Leadership with your host, Jas Takhar. The REC Experience podcast is now on air. I'm so excited today to have Jaspreet Singh hailing from Detroit, right?
That's right.
Yeah, look, man, I've been seeing a lot of your videos on YouTube. Your full macro, lengthy videos on YouTube, as well as your clips and the micro content that you post on Instagram. Huge following on YouTube, guys. If you're watching or listening to this and you have not seen Jaspreet Singh or Minority Mindset, do yourself a favor. Go search that on YouTube right now and on Instagram, right away after this is done. Go listen and watch, and we'll make sure we'll give out all the other handles as well. But Jaspreet, man, thank you for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me here, man. I'm excited to do this.
Awesome. Secondly, I'm a comic book fan myself, and so I like to talk about origin stories a little bit. Talk to me a little bit about you first, like your origin story, and then let's get into Minority Mindset, and then we'll talk about everything you guys do as well.
Sure. So my family's from a state in India called Punjab, and they immigrated here to America for the typical better life. And so growing up, I had a pretty traditional Indian upbringing. It was me, my parents, my grandparents. And I was always told, if you want to be successful, you need to become a doctor. You need to study hard in school and become a doctor. And I saw my parents work all the time. When you're an immigrant in a new country, you got to work. You don't really have the opportunity to complain or take days off. So I was like, I want something better for my family, my parents. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll study hard in school. I'll become a doctor. But always in the back of my mind, I was always kind of an entrepreneur. Like when I was in elementary school, I started a paper route, making 7 cents a house, throwing papers at people's houses.
I did the same, man. I love that story. I think luckily I was making more than 7 cents, but not a lot more than that. But I love the paper route story, right? Because you got to knock on doors, you got to deliver paper, you got to put the flyers together, you got to do all that. The hustle and the grind starts in those type of jobs. So I love that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I went to school, and my parents were always like, just focus on studying. And I was like, okay. And then when I went to high school, I used to play this drum called a dhol. It's a Punjabi drum.
One of my favorite sounds, my man.
Yeah. So I played that at my uncle's wedding, and the DJ there, I was like 13 at the time.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, do you want to make some money playing their dhol? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, why don't you work with me and you can start working at weddings?
Right.
I'm like, okay. So I started making like $100, $150 as like a 13, 14-year-old playing their dhol at weddings. And now I became friends with all these DJs.
Yeah.
And then we had this idea to start hosting teen parties for kids in my high school. So I was like 16. Now I started hosting teen parties. And all of a sudden now I'm starting to make a little bit of money. And I'm like, wow, I'm making money and I'm not a doctor. I don't have a degree. And so now my mind's starting to like open up and think in a way that I never thought was possible, because with the way I grew up, I was assumed that you needed a degree and you needed to be a doctor to make good money.
Doctor, lawyer, or engineer, right?
Yeah, doctor, lawyer, engineer. It's the trio.
Yeah.
So, I go to college, same thing. I, went down the pre-med route for a little while. I continued doing my event planning business. I went from hosting parties to concerts to shows. And I was never into partying, which is the funny thing. Like I never drank. I never got into the party scene. I just did it because that was the hustle that I knew. I knew the people in the business. I knew how the business worked. So I did it. And when I was 19, I had a little bit of money saved up. And I was studying for my MCAT, which is a test you take here in America to get into medical school. It's a brutal test. And I was going miserable studying for it. I was in the library all day, every day. And every break, I would like just go onto the news, financial news websites just to see what's happening in the world. And I started reading financial books. And every book said that wealthy people invest in real estate. I don't know what that meant. Nobody in my family was a real estate investor or an investor or anything. And I'm on these news websites saying, real estate has hit rock bottom, because this is right after the financial crash.
Okay.
And so I was just like, what if I buy real estate? Because all these wealthy people do it in all these books. But I asked my dad, I was like, Dad, I want to invest in real estate. My dad's like, you're stupid. Just go become a doctor, focus on, medicine.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of decided to do it anyways. And I took my MCAT on August 21st. And on August 22nd, it might be 20th and 21st, but one day later, I closed on my first real estate property when I was 19. And so that was when my mind and world really opened up, because now all of a sudden I owned something that started paying me. It was like $600 in rent that I was charging, and I ended up making like 150 or 200 bucks a month in profit from this property. And now my world was like blown, because I was like, holy cow. I own an investment which is paying me, and I don't got to physically like host an event or do something, and I'm making money. So this was crazy to me because I had never experienced something like this before. So that kind of really was that determining factor that, okay, I need to learn more about how money works. I need to learn more about entrepreneurship and business, because I really liked entrepreneurship. Just the fact of like creating something. Some people just have that bug where you have to be a creator. You just can't follow rules and, work for someone else and do all that. So, I knew that was me, and I really enjoyed learning about money. So that was that kind of fueling fire, where then I went all into real estate. I started doing a bunch of things. I got into wholesaling. I did more investing. I did a bunch of things in real estate. And then I started other businesses because, I didn't have a mentor or real guidance. I read a lot of books, but, I got into e-commerce. I created my own product. I created my own SOC technology, and I was trying to license that, and then did a bunch of things as things started to grow. And I ended up going to law school because, you have to do something, medicine. But the advantage of this was I could run my business in addition to going to school. So I went to law school and I was running a SOC business. And that was also when I started Minority Mindset, because when I was doing this SOC business, I ended up getting scammed by a fake marketing company. This company came to me and they were saying, hey, we can help take your sales to the next level. It's guaranteed money back, no worries. And I was a little skeptical at the time, but this money back guarantee was really appealing. So I was like, okay, let's try it. And I gave them a bunch of our marketing budget, and they took the money and ran. I never heard from them again.
Sure.
And at that point I was like, okay, now what do I do? So an entrepreneur is always thinking of, okay, how do I turn problems into profits or opportunities? So I was like, okay, well, why don't I just go online and teach a class on how to launch a business without getting screwed over? So I went on to Udemy and I created like a $7 class or something on how to do this. And I called this Minority Mindset because it was the mindset of thinking different, being an entrepreneur. And it was all around just how to launch a business, how to start a business and not get screwed over the way that I did.
Right.
And with the goal of trying to help entrepreneurs. And that came onto Instagram because people were like, hey, this is really cool. Can you create social media? So I got onto Instagram as Minority Mindset, and I started posting things on Instagram. And then people were like, hey, can you start a blog? And I hate writing. Like I almost failed English in middle school. I was never good at English or writing. So I was like, no, I can't start a blog, but I can talk. So I'll start a YouTube channel.
Right.
And so that's honestly how it started. So I started making videos on YouTube about whatever came to my mind regarding entrepreneurship and money management. And I never really thought of it as a business at the time.
Okay.
It was just something I was doing because I hated, the fact that honest entrepreneurs out there were getting screwed over by people who, were just trying to make quick money. And then I hit a crossing point where my sock business, our patent was denied. So I had to decide if I wanted to go into the sock business or pursue minority mindset, which wasn't profitable at the time. And I was like, socks are cool, but I don't love the product. I love the process, but not really the product. But minority mindset, I love the product. I mean, I was seeing the impact we were making on people. I was getting messages, at that time we weren't that big. So maybe once a week of people saying things like, hey, Jaspreet, man, you're really changing my life. You really helped me turn my finances around. And that made me feel so good on the inside. And I was like, you know what? I'll figure it out. I'll go into minority mindset. So then I dove into minority mindset. We went all in onto YouTube, Instagram. Then we slowly evolved from like financial education on these platforms to also financial news. Now we are a daily financial newsletter where we first break down the top finance and business news delivered to your inbox, but we also show you how this news affects your wallet. And this newsletter is completely free.
I love the fact that you curate it as well, right? Because you're making it easy for people to ingest it and take it and digest it in, so to speak, and take it in. But then you have your spin on it. So I definitely want to talk more about minority mindset, but I want to take you back to that 19 kind of age when you wrote the test and to when you bought that first property for a second.
All right.
Because there's a lot of people that I come across, and I know you obviously do face-to-face as well, digitally, that are in that space right now where their parents, and I don't blame the parents by any means, because like both of ours, they came from a place where you had to get an education, and that's their education. Like, go get an education, that, and they push that. But what was it that allowed you to kind of get quiet and take action on something that you really wanted to do, which was, for example, buy that property and not pursue school at that time? Like, do you kind of can you kind of go back to that for me, Jaspreet, and just like walk us through what was in your mind, how you took action? Was it because you read a lot of books and you were able to use that as experience?
So a couple things. One, I never grew up reading books. I hated reading. Like, I wasn't good at writing. The first book I read cover to cover was a business book. And that was when I was like 16 or 17. So that was when I first started reading. And then in terms of school, so I knew like for my parents, I knew what they did and what they did for me. And so I wanted to keep them happy, which is why, I continued to pursue school. But at the same time, I was like, okay, I can make my parents happy, but I need to make myself happy too. And so that's why all my time outside of school, I was working on myself with my business or whatever. So in that sense, it was very, very, very hard because I was not sleeping. I mean, I was working 15, 16, 20 hours a day consistently. But it was something that I knew in the back of my mind, I had to prove to myself. So that was like kind of the first mindset factor where I knew this was what I wanted. I knew that I wanted something better for my family and for myself. And so I made that commitment and I started working. The second thing was, where do I work? I've always had this ready, fire, aim mentality. I do it.
One sec. Our viewers won't be able, our listeners won't be able to see it, but you will, my man. Just give me 1 sec. Actually, let my guys bring it up. You know what? Because you said it. And so there it is. That's you.
Yep, that's it. 100%. Ready, fire, aim. That's exactly it. 100%. I heard that at a real estate conference when I was, I think, 20 years old. And I was like, that describes me perfectly because I've always just done things and then thought about it. Like, how do I fix it? And I think that I'm tamed down a little bit since before, because when you're younger and you don't have much to lose, it's like, who cares, right? Like, I'm gonna figure it out. Like, I know this is what I'm gonna do. But once you start to kind of figure things out, now you start to be like, okay, let me think a little bit before I do. I don't even care. I was like, what's the worst that can happen? I'm gonna buy this property. I'm gonna figure it out. Yeah. And That's what I did. I mean, I was with every like business idea I had, I never really gave it much thought. I was like, okay, what am I going to do? How will we make money? What am I going to sell? How am I going to sell? And let's do it. You know, like I could like have an idea and be online or be going that same day. Yeah. It was just something that like, I did.
What's your thoughts on this, Jaspreet? Like, do you think entrepreneurship could be taught? Like, what's your thoughts and what's your philosophy on that?
You know, you can learn aspects of it. You can learn how to market. You can learn how to sell. You can learn how to build systems. But that hustle and that mindset, I don't know if that can be taught.
Yeah, so what I always say about that, like, and I totally agree with you, right? Like, you can definitely teach some of the skills and some of the attributes. The one thing that I have a tough time, I guess, teaching people and really articulating it to younger wannabe like entrepreneurs, and I don't mean that in a rude way by any means, is having a stomach for it, because like that, like you got kicked down specifically with someone scamming you. Like I haven't got like scammed per se from outside people, but I've had some inside of my company, myself and there's a current business partner, and there's a third who passed away, but we got kind of scammed out of some money as well, and that stuff can knock you down, and you don't get up sometimes, right?
Yeah, man, it's hard. If you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you have to get punched in the face every day. I mean, especially if you're a digital entrepreneur, it's happening at a massive scale because now you got to deal with people on the internet.
Keyboard warriors, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, keyboard warriors. And, you know, literally, I mean, I'm getting something every day. Oh, I would never listen to a raghead with a turban, you know, and it's just something like this on the daily. And, you know, whether it be you were the stupidest person I've ever heard in my life, who gave you access to a camera, you know, and then, you know, they'll say like really mean things like death threats. And you know, it's like, all I'm doing is sitting here talking. You got that. If you don't like it, leave. But people are going to sit there and make you feel stupid for having an opinion, for doing something that you want. And so having that thick skin, you know, I think it helps looking different because you grew up getting bullied. You grew up kind of developing that thick skin. So you know how to take it. Like, you know how to deflect and kind of laugh at it. Yeah. But, you know, it's hard for some people.
Man, I like from the first couple of times that I saw you and then heard you, I knew that's why you and I were going to connect, because I knew that if you're going as wide as you're going in terms of your digital initiatives through YouTube and Instagram, I knew you were going to be hearing that stuff, because not because we're in the same culture by any means, but I just knew that you're going to hear that stuff. And for you to keep on doing it, I knew you had some thick skin. And I was like, because there's no way you have 500,000 subscribers and you know, hundreds of millions of views, where there's not going to be some people who are going to just be ignorant. And for you to just keep on doing it, like, kudos to you. And I'm not just speaking as another fellow Punjabi person. I mean, as a fellow person, I'm just so proud of seeing someone, and it could have been from any culture, seeing someone who I know has gotten slapped around a few times, and you still got up. So again, like, I can't say it enough. Like, kudos to you, my man. How
appreciate that.
So with minority mindset now, so how does like one get involved? So like, is there a subscription? Like, what's the business model?
Sure. So first thing, the minority mindset itself has nothing to do with the way you look, your ethnicity, or a skin color. It's a mindset. It's the mindset of thinking different than the majority of people, because we say the majority of people, we are a financial news and education company. And so when it comes to the majority of people suck with their money. The majority of people blow their money on things that don't make them any money. Like we say, give the majority of people $200, they'll come back with a pair of shoes. Give the minority of people $200, they'll come back with $2,000, right? And so it's that mindset of thinking different than the majority of people. So what our brand, the minority mindset, is, beyond, you know, the philosophical mindset, is we're a financial news and education company. On the front end, we have a free daily financial newsletter that anyone can subscribe to, where we first, again, like I said before, break down the top finance and business news, and then we show you how the news affects your wallet. There are like 92,000 news stories published every day. That's more than one a second. So it is impossible to keep up with what's happening. Yep. And, you know, most news agencies are in the business of just selling hype. So what we try to do is, one, we try to filter out a lot of crap and a lot of emotion. Then we take the financial stories and we make them fun, like what's actually happening. And, you know, we cater to people who are like 18, 16 to like 45, 47 years old. So we talk, our newsletters are not written like Forbes and Wall Street Journal. We're written in a fun way. Like we have memes and jokes, things in our news to make it entertaining and fun, just like the way I talk about on our YouTube channel. And then on the financial education end, we have a ton of financial education, one on our blog, two on our YouTube channel, and three for people that want more. We do have some paid education courses as well.
Now, what are you noticing and seeing like in that age group of, you know, in the 20s, right? Like early 22, 24, 20, kind of that age group where I say that they buy dumb shit. That's what kind of, that's my thought process around it. Where, like, what do you think? Like, what are you seeing and where they're wasting? Like, why is somebody taking $200 and buying it on a pair of shoes? And what else are they buying dumb shit on?
You know, so there's so much, and it really depends on the person, because so I used to teach every week as like a guest teacher here in some inner city schools, just talking about money management. And what I'm seeing is, one, from the get-go, most people are never taught the basics of money. Like, one, how to open a bank account, or should you, like, when I was teaching at a high school, and these were like 16, 17-year-old kids who were working jobs to support their families and didn't have a bank account. So when they got paid, they would get paid a physical check. And then they would take this check and go to the liquor store to get it cashed. And then the liquor store owner would take 1 to 10% of your paycheck just to cash your check, to give you your cash. And then on the way out of the liquor store, they'd be buying candy and, you know, Cheetos, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so now by the time you walk out of the store, you only got 75% or half of your check. And so it's like, okay, we got to talk about the basics of education, of financial education here. Second, it's a lot of, here in America, college is very, very, very expensive. I was actually just in Dallas talking, I was invited to go to the news station there to go talk about this, but college is so expensive here in America. And so we have kids graduating school with $50, $60, $100,000 worth of student loan debt. And the problem is people are going to school hoping that school is going to tell them what to do in life, right? So they go to college and they get a general degree just to kind of explore options and do this. And they don't know what they want to do. And now they graduated school, they have $100,000 worth of debt, and now you get a job paying $15, $16 an hour. And now people are really like, okay, half of my check is going to my student loans. The other half is going to my rent. How to afford food? I just went to school for the last 22 years of my life. Let me just buy a pair of shoes. Let me just at least look like my other friends who have all these nice things. I don't know how they're affording it, even though they're not. They're doing the exact same thing as everyone else. And so now it just creates a cycle of, okay, I may just look cool. I'm going to work every day. And now it just creates this confusion, anger, and like what the heck is going on? And so that's where like we come in. And for the people that have already graduated, that's where our education comes in. And for people that are in school, we actually created a free curriculum, K through 12. We spent like a year with a bunch of teachers creating a full financial education curriculum where we first break down, you know, saving, spending, investing, how to earn money, all these things for teachers, because teachers need to know money so they can teach it to students, and most teachers don't. And so we break that down. We teach teachers how money works, and then we teach them how to teach it with activities and games and homework assignments. And we have given this away for free to thousands of principals, superintendents, teachers, parents, all across the world. And so that's one of the things we're doing for younger people is, if you're in school, you need to learn the basics of money. Why are people 21 years old, $100,000 in debt with not a single clue of how money works?
Now, so how do we break that pattern? Is it like we obviously need doctors, we need lawyers, we need engineers, we need a lot of these people that go to school. Is it maybe the ones that are not going to that level of education starting to think of like maybe we stop certain people from going to school and living out their passions more so they can get some more financial literacy? What's your thought process on somehow breaking that pattern?
We need doctors, we need lawyers, we need engineers, we need, accountants, but not everybody who was a doctor should be a doctor. not everybody who is an engineer should be an engineer. Some of these people are like me who are doing it for the wrong reasons. And so if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you need to know what else is out there. The people that want to be doctors because they want to be a doctor, you should 100% go down that path. Now, whether you want to be a doctor or not, whether you want to be a business person, an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, it doesn't matter what you want to do. You need to understand money, because whether you're working at a call center or you're working as a medical doctor, you need to understand, okay, I just got this paycheck, whether it's small or big. How much can I spend? How much should I invest? How much should I save? And how should I be investing my money? Because that's the problem that we don't know.
So just some basic strategy. So, somebody gets a check. Are you like, I usually go by like minimum 10% pay yourself. Like what's your kind of strategies really easily for somebody to kind of actually take and make use of right away?
Simplest thing is our 75-15-10 plan. For every dollar you make, 75 cents is the maximum you can spend. 15 cents is the minimum you should be investing. 10 cents is the minimum you should be saving.
Okay. Love it. So 75, 15, and 10.
Yep, 75, 15, 10. And then that 15 investing is now where you pick your risk tolerance. Some people are just going to want to live a completely stress-free life. So what you need to do first is pay down your debt, and you can invest in safe things and keep it easy. For people that really want to live large and live a lavish lifestyle, well, you need to be a little bit more aggressive and take more calculated risks with your money. And maybe even take that 15 number, bump it up to 20 or 25, depending on where you are in life.
Now, I'm a little biased because in the investment bucket, I like to stick with real estate because I know it. It's my passion. I know it. I like touching property, so to speak. Why did you choose real estate?
I have no idea. So I bought my first stock when I was like a little bit before real estate, but I didn't know much about it. I just bought stocks because I was like, oh, this looks cool. I like this company, but I didn't really know anything. Real estate, I really like real estate because one, is a tangible asset, and two, the reason you buy real estate. I love investing for cash flow, passive income, because I hate the idea of investing my money into something and then having to wait 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years to see a return on my money. When I invest now, what I look for is how much money am I going to have to pay today, and then how much money am I going to make every month from here on out. That's how I'll make my investment decisions, because if you want freedom where you can really live your life the way you want, it's a matter of cash in, cash out. How much money am I making every month, and how much are my expenses every month? If your cash in is higher than your cash out, you're free. And real estate allows you to do that because you can, calculate, you can factor in vacancies and expenses and have a good idea of how much cash you're going to have coming in.
Now, and it's just that residual income, right? You do something once, you buy that property once, and then you have that income coming in every single month over and over again, let alone like in Canada we do it a lot, but I'm sure that over in the States you guys do it as well. Like you flip it to yourself, refinance the property, pull out equity, and then do it again. Here it's tax-free when we do it in Canada, so
Tax-free here too.
Exactly. I always say that you can fly to Vegas with that refinance and spend it. I think you should just buy more properties. You know what I mean? Like buy more. Yeah, exactly.
That second one too.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I want to leave our listeners with some tips, like your top 3 tips when it comes to money.
Sure. First, when it comes to spending, only buy what you can afford. The simplest way to know what you can afford is follow our rule of 5. If you can't buy 5 of them, you can't afford 1 of them. Always remember that before you make purchases that you don't need. Second, we just talked about this. I'm going to repeat it again. For every dollar you make, if you have financial responsibilities, follow the 75-15-10 plan. If you're younger and you don't have a lot of financial responsibilities, then you should be following our 50-30-20 plan. For every dollar you make, you can only spend 50 cents, you invest 30, and you save 20. You're going to be a lot more aggressive when you're younger, so you can build your base and start growing quicker. Third, mastering money is simple. You need to understand the 3 keys of money. Spend less, earn more, and invest like crazy. If you can master those 3 keys, you will be able to live life on your own terms financially, no matter what you do, whether you're a doctor or you work at a call center or whatever you do. It really doesn't matter. You have to understand these 3 keys and be able to live by them.
Jaspreet, I essentially could have just been our episode. Those 3.
Yeah, a 15-second episode.
I love that, straight to the point. It was like, that's real, man. Those tips really, for anyone who's listening, I'm not kidding when I say that. Like, in us, in an essence, that's it right there. Like those 3 tips, man. Like stop. Like if you can't buy it more than, I say at least twice, but you say 5 times. I love that. Like that's really thinking big, and then you I love how the fact you're kind of dumbing it down, making it really easy, the 50, 20, 30 kind of thing. Like I love that. Right. And I like the fact that you're getting aggressive with 20%. Somebody when I was probably 21 years old told me 50-50. Right. And I never really hit 50-50 every single paycheck, but I always tried my best to save 50%. When I got out of that salary job and went into business for myself, I had a nest egg already because I did put away money. I was okay as I went into commission sales. Some months were obviously tougher than others. I didn't have to do anything like shady or anything because I had some money put away. I was safe. So I love the fact that you're really teaching people how to build that nest egg. I'm going to switch it up with you really quickly because I know you can speak the language. So ਆਪਣੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਆ ਤੇ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਇੰਨੇ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਸਿਖਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਜਸਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਜਵਾਕ ਟਰਾਈ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਮੇਬੀ ਸਕੂਲ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣ ਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਜੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੇਬੀ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਪਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਆ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਆ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਕੂਲ ਜਾਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ
ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਆ ਵੀ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਕੁਝ ਪਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ Let them try things.
Yeah.
There's more than one path to doing something. School is great, but it's not everything. There's more than one way. Here's what education is extremely important. No matter what you do, you never stop learning. Education is the key to success. No matter what you do. Doctor or you want to do your own business, right? Education is the key to success. But there's more than one way to get that education. School is one way to do it. Life education, books, courses, that's another way to do it too.
Awesome. My man, thank you so much for your time. If you ever make it out to Toronto, make sure to look me up and let's stay in touch because there's a lot of people that I can put you in touch with here. I think a lot of people need to hear what you have to say as well. Thank you again for continuously on a daily basis. I know how hard it is to push out content and you're doing it on a daily basis and congrats to you again.
My man, thank you so much for having me on. It's a lot of fun and keep hustling with what you're doing too.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thanks for being on, brother.
Likewise.
Appreciate that, brother. Wow. Thanks for bringing that energy, man.
Absolutely, man. That was a lot of fun. I hope the audience likes it.
This has been the REC Experience Podcast with Jas Takhar, an REC Canada production.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching and listening. Please take a second right now to subscribe and follow us on whatever podcast platform you're watching or listening. It means the world to me. Thank you.